long last, the magic pudding is in my hands. Okay, do something. Talk. Sing. Dance. Be whimsically enchanting for me, you silly pudding! Okay, fine. I guess that you're just a regular pudding. Which isn't a bad thing.
Daddy? What happened to Daddy, Mummy?
That monster killed him, my son. Gobbled him up without any mercy.
Why, Giant Man? Why did you eat my daddy?
That's it. I'm not going on any more adventures or quests. I just end up ruining people's lives.
Is it a cinematic sensation? Is it a masterpiece of animation? Or a terrible train wreck like Jambareeqi check? If a movie needs an exorcism, he'll smite the demon with criticism. If it deserves attention, he'll give it a heartfelt mention. A strawberry rating 1 to 5. Jambareeqi reviews.
Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. The Magic Pudding is an animated film that I often saw the trailer for on a particular VHS tape at the start. I never got a chance to watch the movie itself as a kid. I decided to revisit the trailer on YouTube and noticed in the comment section that a lot of people were shocked to believe that the film exists. They always assumed that this was a dream to them. That's kind of fascinating, and I do remember as a child being intrigued by the trailer. So let's find out. Is the Magic Pudding any good? Based on the book by Norman Lindsay, this film opens up with 3 sailors, Bill Barnacle, Sam Sawnoff the Penguin, and Bunkle the Wombat, who end up shipwrecked on an iceberg and become starving for food. Luckily for them, lightning strikes the ice, heating it and unfreezing a magic pudding named Albert, who can transform into any kind of dessert or pie at all. But he has no manners whatsoever. Bunkle claims the pudding as his own, while Sam and Bill try to keep the bowl safe from the greedy wombat, who falls into the sea. Time passes, Bunkle has survived his plummet, has built an underground lair, and demands his minions to steal the pudding from Sam and Bill. Meanwhile, a koala called Bunyip Bluegum has started to set on a quest to find his missing parents, but no one in town will help him. Bunyip bumps into Bill and Sam, who are now calling themselves the Pudding Owner Society. They agree to help Bunyip find his mum and dad, but the adventure won't be easy when Bunkle's minions keep trying to steal Albert. As you can clearly tell, this film has one hell of a weird premise, but that can be a good thing, because strange ideas can make for unique movies that stand out. But remember, a film's concept is its seed. It's all in the execution to help the idea grow into a beautiful flower, and unfortunately, this movie has blossomed into a weed. The Magic Pudding's pacing is quite suffocating. It's like being inside a racing Formula 1 car that has no brakes installed. The chaos in this movie is unforgiving and relentless. There's a constant rhythm of movement and noises. I kept wondering and hoping, when is this movie going to settle down? Oh, here's a nice campfire scene. Maybe this is an opportunity for character development and a break from all the fast-paced nonsense. Nope, let's kill the mood with another lively cartoony musical number about how amazing the Magic Pudding is. Movie, you do know that I need oxygen in order to breathe. Just
calm down for 1 minute.
Now, you can have some fun from how balls to the walls crazy this film gets, but it's not always worth it, as the meandering does become more frustrating than entertainingly strange sometimes. Bunyip's goal of finding his parents is constantly interrupted by the pudding thieves trying to steal Albert. Which would be fine if Bunyip needed Albert to find his parents, but that's not the case. And it's really not worth frequently brushing aside Bunyip's mission to focus on these attempted kidnappings of Albert. They have zero tension or importance.
It's proven again and again that Bunkle's minions are incapable of success, so they aren't a threat at all. Plus, it's not like our characters desperately need Albert for food anymore, now that they are back on land. And well, Albert is a rude jerk and can resurrect himself once eaten, so he's not in any real danger, and I never cared about what would happen to him. Then, a whopping 45 minutes into this 70-minute movie, the stakes are finally raised and the two plot lines begin to blend. When Bunkle threatens to cook Bunyip's parents unless someone delivers him the magic pudding, meaning that at long last there's a reason to actually care about what happens to Albert. It really shouldn't have taken this long to create some kind of legit tension around the magic pudding. Why wasn't this threat introduced at the start of the film? There are some messages in the magic pudding, the themes of not being greedy and appreciating loved ones, which are good morals to teach kids, and the film does come up with a few ways to demonstrate these lessons, but the emotional subtext doesn't drive the story of this film. It's all about pushing a constant wild momentum, quickly moving on to the next out of nowhere sequence, even at the cost of losing the story's flow and substance. I will give the film this though, it is willing to get quite dark for a kids movie. It's not trying to be an edgy children's film for the sake of it either. There's a sincerity to the more sinister elements, as it never lets the darker scenes be the main selling point or gimmick of the film. Kids can enjoy being scared. Some of them like the adrenaline as much as adults. Sure, some children are very sensitive and don't like being frightened, but I wouldn't say that the film goes too far with its more intimidating moments. I'm going to give 2 points to the content. Albert is a very rude and obnoxious pudding, but this is all intentional, and kids will love how cheeky he can be. I wouldn't say that I found him funny or charming, but he can be somewhat entertaining because of his unapologetic naughty attitude. And there's something fun about how much he loves to show off his powers. He knows how awesome they are. Interestingly, the film does want to explore how there's two sides to him, as if he does have a caring part to his personality, but he can't express it without being harsh or rude.
I mean, think of the penguin. I could do something with fish. I could do shepherd's pie. I could do tapioca pudding. I could do vanilla cream and chocolate pudding with almonds. But oh no!
You just don't know when you're on a good thing, do you, Albert?
Oh, hurrah! Yippee! I'm inside a hat that smells of fish. Lucky me.
He's an excitable chap, but his heart's in the right spot.
This idea comes into true fruition when our characters end up wishing that there's two of him, which doesn't exactly clone him, but rather splits his dark and light sides into two, with both arguing over the right thing to do, which is a surprisingly clever twist, showing that these two drastically opposing sides of his character make him who he is. The film doesn't make him naturally grow as a character, which does stop him from being a good example to kids, showing that you can improve your bad behaviour, and I can tell that the filmmakers sort of wanted to go that way, because the other characters keep telling him that he needs to start appreciating his loved ones.
Albert, listen to me. Sometimes, Albert, you've got to lend a hand to your mate, put your shoulder to the wheel.
But he never really matures emotionally, always being reluctant to do good and only appreciating the glory of his deeds. He can be a softie sometimes, but there's no major turning point where he starts becoming a less aggressive and rude character. Bunyip is quite the gentleman. He's always well-meaning and polite. While this does make him likable, it also kind of makes him boring. He's just nice, and that's it really. He does lose his temper with Albert in one scene, but everyone gets pissed off with the magic pudding. And the film never fully explores this side of him beyond that scene, mainly firmly sticking to his positive traits, which doesn't really make for a compelling character. Bill Barnacle is quick to judge and can be grouchy sometimes, but he does have a decent moral compass, finds the good in Albert, and easily empathises with Bunyip's plight. He's very vocal, always letting everyone know how he feels and making commentary at nearly every opportunity. It's a shame that we don't get to learn much about him. Sure, we get to know his personality, but I would have appreciated some backstory on his sailing background. Sam Sornoff is a loyal first mate to Bill, and sometimes tries to speak some sense to his captain when he loses his temper. He's just a bit too quiet compared to the rest of the characters, so he does end up being eclipsed by the more eccentric and vocal characters around him. His loyalty to Bill does make him less of his own character as well, because it's hard to find a strong distinction between Sam and Bill, making it difficult to define who Sam is on his own. Bunkle is very menacing, looking more intimidating and larger than the other animals, and he has a very hostile personality. Unfortunately, this threatening danger isn't used to the film's advantage much, as he spends a huge majority of the film slouching on his throne, barking at his minions to get the pudding and moaning that he's hungry. It's like he's taken villainy lessons from Homer Simpson.
Must eat food.
I'm so hungry.
Bring me that pudding, or I'll send you down to the food line!
Where's my burrito? Where's my burrito?
It's only when he finally gets his hands on the pudding that he becomes fun, being very possessive of Albert and getting rambunctiously excited over claiming the magic pudding as his own. Although I wouldn't say that he's the smartest villain, but that's because he makes decisions based on his greed, showing what awful consequences can happen when you ask for too much. Ginger may be my favourite character in the film. She's Bunkle's right-hand mouse and is always deviously encouraging Bunkle to change his diet to meat, manipulating the wombat into considering the pleasures of carnivorism. She takes a creepy thrill from twisting the natural order. Just look how joyful she is when Bunkle orders her to cook a prisoner for him.
Too stringy. Too flabby.
She's the most active, charismatic and conniving villain in the film, which is maybe why I like her so much. I just wish that her comeuppances were more satisfying and less tame.
Maybe put the little shit in a mousetrap, and then dunk her in acid. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Leave her in a septic tank for a week. And then feed her to some tiger sharks. Okay, maybe that's perhaps too extreme for a children's movie. Oh, not extreme enough!
The pudding thieves are just terrible. They pose no threat at all, their disguises are rubbish, their tricks never work, they're complete cowards, and they're dumber than a bag of rocks. Their antics might make little kids laugh, but their incompetence takes away so much tension from the story, and we waste so much time focusing on their constant repetitive failings. Bunyip's parents don't get much screen time, but damn they are noble. Because when Ginger begins making a choice of prisoner to cook, both of them violently propose that they are put in the pot, just to prolong the lives of the other prisoners. It's their heroic sacrifice that made me care about our heroes reaching Bunkle's lair in time, because they prove themselves to be really good people that deserve to live. I'm going to give 3 points to the characters. One of the major strengths of this film is its backgrounds. The film's period Australian setting has inspired a really unique set of environments for our characters to explore. These watercolour backdrops are gorgeous and paint a rich world for the story. But the character animation, it's passable at best. There's a lack of in-betweens, sometimes the mouths don't sync to the dialogue, characters' expressions are either stuck on one face or limited in emotion, the body acting is just basic and standard, plus the overall quality screams Saturday morning cartoon. If I showed you this film without any context at all, I know your first assumption would be that this was made for television. This takes away so much production value and makes the film feel less like an actual theatrical feature film. That being said, the finale has some terrific animation. That's when everything becomes more fluid and visually creative. Even going full on Akira. I really wish that the rest of this film looked this good, but sadly, it's mainly average animation for most of the film. I'm going to give 2 points to the animation. John Cleese voices Albert, channeling his iconic Basil Fawlty character into the role. It's so damn perfect. It's the level of rudeness and arrogance needed for Albert.
What are you talking about? He's a pudding thief, yeah. I'll kick a confession out of him.
Steady, Albert. A bloke's got to admit when he's wrong. How remarkable.
Jeffrey Rush voices Bunyip, giving his character a soft and tender voice that adds to the overall wholesomeness of his character.
Where two gums meet, but stand alone, there's plenty of water, but it's dry as a bone.
Hugo Weaving's stern, gruff voice is terrific for Bill Barnacle. It's the kind of voice needed for a character who's the closest to being the leader.
There's Pat and confounding the thieves and saving the pudding. I'd like to propose that young Bunyip here become a member of the Noble Society of Pudding Owners.
Sam Neill is just fine as Sam Sornoff. He gives the Penguin a nice soft voice. It's just that, well, there's nothing really remarkable about his performance. I had to double check the film to remember what he even sounded like. Neil's voice is very overshadowed by the more enthusiastic and energetic actors in the cast.
If this isn't a mystery more than words can utter, looks like a phantom pot.
Jack Thompson is unnervingly aggressive as Bunkle. I can imagine his voice scaring younger kids, maybe even adults.
I said stop! Please! You've had your fun! I said party's over!
Mary Custis is brilliant as Ginger. She gives her character a slimy malice that's full of disgusting glee.
Could we have some service here, please?
The thing is, miss, there's nothing left.
What do you mean, nothing? You know the penalty for failing to deliver?
Greg Carroll and Dave Gibson are the pudding thieves. They're doing their best as the voices of some crappy comic relief henchmen, even if their act is driven into the ground throughout the film. They're silly enough to amuse kids.
I say we take this pudding inside to test if he's the real pudding before we take him to Uncle Bunkle.
Toni Collette and Roy Billing voice Bunyip's parents. They do great jobs sounding like tied prisoners, doing their best to remain defiant.
If you have to take one of us, then take me.
And me. Leave them alone.
I'm going to give 4 points to the voice acting. The original music score, which was composed by Chris Harriott, is very straightforward and plain for the most part. It keeps the comedic momentum going by composing sounds for nearly every gesture or movement we see on screen, which is a good way of supporting visuals but can get annoyingly distracting, and the film is energetically loud enough as it is. I think that the music is at its best when we cut to Bunkle. It starts sounding more ominous, creating a strong, dark atmosphere for his lair. This is when the music becomes more theatrical. This movie is also a musical, and the songs aren't very good. Most of them are the same topic of celebrating how amazing the magic pudding is. They all come right out of nowhere, and the only parts that are memorable about them are the repetitive choruses. They're lively and bouncy enough to keep little kids happy, but I can't say that they're great efforts, and wouldn't blame audiences for forgetting them soon after watching the film. I'm going to give 2 points to the music. The Magic Pudding is an odd and fast-paced movie. It can be annoying, but it never gets boring. I can't count how many times I shouted, "What the hell is happening?" at the screen. The Magic Pudding has gained 13 points, which translates to 2 3/4 cheeky strawberries out of 5. If you enjoyed such wild, nonsensical animated films as Rock-a-Doodle and We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, then you might really enjoy The Magic Pudding.
I'd just like to point out that the graphics for this video were produced by Toongrin. If you'd like to request commissions from them, here's their website on screen. I've been Jambareeqi, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, then feel free to like, subscribe, or share. Also consider supporting me by making a monthly pledge to my Patreon in return for awesome rewards. Thank you. I'd also like to give a shout out to a new patron called Nate S. Cheers for your pledge, mate. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Reviews? Well, since introducing live-action movies into this show, I've not actually done that many besides Bronson and Disaster Movie. I want to change that, let's do it more frequently. But which live-action movie to do? I mean, it's not like there's a highly anticipated live-action movie coming out soon that I could do a review related to in some way, and... oh. I'm going to have to analyze a lot of characters and their actors for this one, folks. Cheerio.